Morning. I'm going to go around and do some watering this morning. You want to come follow along? Let's go. So in the morning I come out here and I water all these bonsai. And this is a daily routine, something that I love to do. Helps me relax to start the day. Start by watering my collected material over here. I have some trunk chops over here from a bunch of Stuartias that I rescued. Rescued these from some place that was getting bulldozed. Got a hot tip from Ben B. He's got a channel on YouTube. Also, I'll leave a link in the description down there. Found an old nursery called Star Nursery up near Seattle, Washington. And it was going to be bulldozed. So we went out there and we collected a bunch of these things. I actually have a lot of them that I'm working with. I have about 20 of these Stuartias. Takes me around 10 minutes or so to water. I just go around my different sections, give a good little rinse. This being bonsai soil, it kind of goes through really quickly. We got some vine maples here, some Japanese yews that used to be in landscape, Kingsville boxwood, root over rock. These are just arborvitaes that came out of the yard. If you watched the channel for a while, this is the little juniper I did the restyle on. Getting good and fluffy over there. This one is a Hinoki cypress that I plan on doing an update on later on down the line. I ran out of wire and it needs some wiring. Large forest. This guy is a double file viburnum that came out of the ground. It's a ginkgo biloba. This one is actually in a cedar container by Darosa Creations, which is out of Ontario, Canada. So it's a pretty cool pot. A little different for bonsai. A lot of people do a cedar growing box for some of their trees. This one has a shou, which also has a paint effect. Shou is the charred and cleaned up wood. It closes up the pores on the wood and makes it where it lasts a lot longer. It's actually really common in Japan. In traditional architecture, they would clad the outsides of their buildings with this. So pretty neat stuff. That's Darosa Creations. I'll try to put some sort of a link in there so that you can get a hold of them if you're interested. Hornbeams 1 and 2. Louisia. This one, I believe, is a Zelkova. This one didn't have any sort of identification when I took it home. I just put it on a rock, trimmed it up some. It's doing pretty well. These were originally Japanese maple seedlings, just a standard variety Japanese maple. Did something a little different with them. Instead of a group that's upright, they're actually more like a semi-cascade group. This was in another video also. This is a Sharp's Pygmy Japanese maple. This one I kind of opened up the top just a little bit, spread everything out just a little bit more. That one's doing really well. Standard Japanese maple here. This one is a dwarf version of a Japanese maple. It's I believe it's Kiyohime. You saw this one in another video. If you were wondering how it was doing after I chopped the heck out of it, well, this is how it's doing. This is all new growth since I finished that work. That's why I have so many of them. I actually have, I don't know, probably maybe 20 Japanese maples in this section over here. Another thing that I do when I'm out here watering every morning is I'll actually go around and look at some of the other trees in the ground. So, for instance, over here, my hose got caught. I have a Japanese Snowbill over here that I've put a bunch of air layers on. The Snowbill has a lot of these air layers on it because I wanted to try to save it. It looks gorgeous. I mean, it's a nice looking tree. It has pink flowers. It has been in my yard for a long time. When we brought it home, it was actually not in that great of shape. And then I was really encouraged when it started growing really well. Now this was about 10 years ago. But since that time, it's continued to have some issues. Down here at the base, you can see that there's some deadwood right here. And this section over here is really the only thing that's providing sustenance to this whole tree. This little section is about the size of a child's wrist. Now, up the tree, it's much thicker. So what's going to happen is this little section that is deadwood will continue to rot. It's hard right now, but it will continue to rot. And I wanted to save the tree if I could. So air layering is what I did. I set these air layers back in May. I haven't really looked too much into the pots. I just looked into one and I did see a little bit of rooting going on, but I really want to make sure that this is good and rooted before I go and separate these. Alright, so I'm going to put this water hose down for this section and I'm going to go do the lower section. I actually have a lot of bonsai to take care of. Like I said, I have about 20 of these Duartias. They continue on down the path here. And I also have some Snowbills here. This is a shadier section of my yard, and these are not sprouting quite yet, so giving them a little bit of cover to keep them from drying out. So these Snowbills here, I believe, are a white Snowbill, just your standard Snowbill. And again, when I say standard, there's very little that's standard about this material that I collected that was going to be bulldozed. I'll have to show that one down the line in my videos. So this is part of what I do in the morning is I look for projects that I want to work on. Obviously I'm taking care of my plants by watering them, seeing if they need fertilizer or any sort of bug spray, if they have any damage to them that could get some introduction of insects. So it's a really good time of my day to just make sure that all of these plants that I'm trying to keep healthy are doing really well. These stumps, I can't tell what they're going to do just yet. There may be an amount of mortality from these. There may be some that die. But if I can get some to live, then that's a whole lot of trees that I've saved from the bulldozer. And that would make me feel really good about that. This is some stuff that was from Roadside. This one in particular had been mowed a couple of times. When I say mower, they use a tractor to mow the sides of the road around here. The Department of Transportation gets out there and keeps the drainage clear and the sides of the road clear for visibility, for safety, for fire protection, that sort of thing. And that little group of plants right there had all been mowed at different times. So I'm seeing if I could save those so that the mower doesn't just completely kill them. One of the reasons why I prefer urban dory to yamadori, urban dory being collected in places where people live, right around the neighborhoods and businesses. I prefer that over yamadori collected from the mountains because, well, for one, it's convenience, honestly. But another thing, the plants that I've seen in the wild, they look really great already in the wild. And I'm fine with leaving them there, so I haven't made special trips into the wild for that. That's not to say I'm against it. There's some beautiful, beautiful material that comes out of the mountains that people make, special trips to collect. I'm more into taking some of these things that, like these dogwoods behind me, that have been really neglected for years. These are also from the place where I saved them from a bulldozer, that were pretty cool looking in the ground, but they had been neglected for at least around 5 years. So I come out here and I water them every day. I've only had them for a couple of weeks now, but if I can get them to be healthy, they're going to be gorgeous. This section over here is a section I'm really excited about. These are Japanese maples of different varieties. Like I said, this place where I rescued these trees from had been out of business for a while. The trees were overgrown and neglected. They were covered in blackberries, but they still had life in them, and they were still beautiful plants and trees. They just needed a little bit of love and attention. So they don't look like much right now, they just look like stumps. But this green one, for example, this one is a Shishigashira Japanese maple, which will be an outstanding specimen if that one winds up living. Some of these other ones are pretty cool too. This one, again, doesn't look like much now, but I believe this one's a Sharp's Pygmy. Then again, it may not be. There's over 300 varieties, 300 cultivars of Japanese maple that I know of, and I'm sure there's well more than that in the world. I just love them. This is a little Enkianthus. It started from seed in my yard. It dropped from another plant, and it's been in a bonsai pot first time for this year. So I let that one grow in the ground for a while, and now it's just a cute little cascade. Here's a hawthorn that I pulled from the side of the road. This one has a really interesting trunk line. It actually comes elongated out until it starts to branch. This one is like that because it was underneath a bunch of road debris from road construction that never got picked up. There was a little drainage ditch, and the road crews had just dumped all the material right on top of everything. This one wound up living through that experience and looks pretty cool. So that's another really cool thing about Roadside Finds, is that you can still have a lot of character in a tree. Even though it's not from the mountains, it could still be really cool. It's another Enkianthus. They're not seen so much in bonsai, so of course that made me want to make one. This is a dogwood that I picked up from the home improvement store locally. This is a gorgeous flowering plant. I just got it this year, so it's only flowered just a small bit. But I gave it a tall cascade pot, did a bunch of wiring on it, and turns out this one has quickly become my wife's favorite of the flowering bonsai. It's going to be pretty cool next year when it flowers again. If you've seen some of the other videos, you've seen these little guys. These were the ones that I made some bigger pots for bigger bonsai. And these have since decided that they wanted to flower. This one is in full bloom. That's okay with me because I gave it a big enough pot to be able to handle it. But their foliage is exploding with these big pots like this. Here's that beech that I did recently, opening the bonsai canopy. It's nice and happy out here. And I actually have another one that's really similar plant, similar situation. Also needs to be opened up some. So I know you're probably squinting in this video because of the sunshine. Well, that's what I'm doing too, because it is bright out here. Anyways, these little elms here, these are Jacqueline Hillier elms. Sorry about my French accent there, but these are nice and fluffy little plants. These, like many elms, just grow really, really strongly with foliage. They are filled with foliage. I've already trimmed them twice this year, and they're ready for another trim already. Well, so that's my morning watering routine. I come out and I enjoy the morning, give the birds a nice place to take a shower in the morning, give myself a little time to think about things for the day. It's really a nice start of my day.